Restart.
This is Megan.
This is Lily.
And this
is
our...
the Tough Luck Podcast.
Literally.
Oh my goodness, how are you?
Wonderful.
How's life?
Wonderful. Yeah, today feels really good. But we've just been in eclipse season, right? The eclipse was like last night. And we usually record our podcast every Monday. And I texted Megan yesterday. I was like, I just need like a mental health day. Like I don't think I can do this. Like, can we do it tomorrow? And Megan gave me the grace and was so lovely. So thank you for that. I haven't said thank you.
No, you're
for that.
welcome.
But yeah, I was just feeling anxious yesterday, and I have never felt anxious about our. Like maybe I felt anxious about our first podcast, but
yeah,
I was just like having anxiety, and it was just really weird. But also, I was just like, yep, this is just the eclipse, you know. And I actually had a friend the other day tell me that they weren't sleeping very well. And I was just like, well, you know, we're in like eclipse season, so that might be like what's going on. And they're not super into astrology or anything.
Yeah.
And I was just like, so maybe you're just like feeling the stars. And they were like, I don't really know. And I was like, sometimes it's just easier to blame it on the stars.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Sometimes, like, you know, yesterday I was just like, wow, I'm really anxious. It's just the moon.
There's something else going on. It's not me.
Exactly.
It could never be me.
It's just the start.
It's like, yeah, I really do believe that the stars have a huge role to play into what is going on in our own lives, and that goes into the nature of life. We have so many ups and downs, and there's so much more going on than humankind could ever understand. And
absolutely.
There's
so much out there, yeah.
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 It's such a beautiful thing, and when we dive into what, you know, these eclipses do to us, it's literally the Earth is blocking the moon, and that's
right
all across the globe. So we're feeling it. And
literally.
Yeah, so you're doing amazing.
Oh,
you're doing
thank you,
great.
So are you.
Thank you.
And here we are. We're both feeling good today. I didn't even feel anxious at all. I was like, yeah, this is just what me and Megan do.
It's a good astrology day.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a little bit more, if you follow Vedic astrology, it's a lot more of those Pisces energy and just romanticizing
which is
life.
funny. I was like making art all morning before you got here, and like I could not make any art yesterday.
Oh.
You know, it's just so
beautiful.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is.
So interesting. Yeah.
It is. And yeah, I was feeling it too. I was feeling very out of sorts yesterday.
Yeah.
I did feel a little bit refreshed in some ways, like after I took, you know, I did a little bit of we have editing for our videos, and I did a little bit of editing, so I got some of that done. And then after that I taught a class, and really very little people showed up that day. I typically get about 8 to 9, but there's only 5 this time around, and and I think everybody was feeling it, and we're gonna feel it even more around April 8th, I'd imagine.
Absolutely.
With this eclipse coming up.
Yeah, I was working with kids yesterday during the eclipse, and they were just off the walls.
Oh my god!
Just like I could not tame my class at all, and you know, I just got to the point where I was like, I just have to embrace this, and we're just gonna have a crazy class, and we're probably not gonna get a lot done, but like it's not worth forcing it, you know, when we're all feeling that energy too.
Sure.
It's not worth like trying to force being you know, calm and tame in this time. Like maybe you are anxious. Maybe life is just throwing you challenges right now. Maybe like the universe is shaking you up, and it's okay to have all those feelings and to not feel it's okay to not feel grounded in this time.
Absolutely.
And you know, just kind of embracing that feeling of what being ungrounded brings you, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of fun.
Yeah.
Kind of fun. And I've also just been really in like this kid energy too. I feel like just around kids a lot, and just embracing that like childlike energy. It's been so fun. because they're just crazy right now. Like, they're feeling the eclipse too, and they are all over the place. And
they're probably more in tune with the eclipse than adults are.
So it's a great time, I feel like, to be around kids and just to embrace their creativity and their chaos.
Yeah.
So
nice.
have some kid time.
I know, adults need kid time too. We're always working so hard, doing all these
and we're just kids too.
We're just kids, it's right.
We're just kids out here.
We're big kids.
We're just big kids. We just gotta pay some bills, that's all.
Yeah, there's some responsibilities, but don't, I think to myself whenever people say, oh, grow up, Well, I do think we're supposed to mature, we're supposed to grow up a little bit, but we're not necessarily supposed to mature in all the ways that society tells us to. I mean, gosh, I know that being in a cubicle, I remember being in a cubicle for hours, like 8 hours a day, and just sitting in that building.
It's draining.
And it can be draining. It's and having people like angrily call you on the phone and just like, because I worked in IT, and so people just were calling me up and they're like,
because their technology's not working.
I was literally the person that was in the way of them. Like, if I didn't know the answer, I was the person that was supposed to know the answer, and so it looked, I was so stressed out all the time, and so it was a lot. But I do remember having there were times where there were a few people who did just like, hey, it's okay, we're not robots, so we're supposed to take a little bit of time here and there, and if the answer doesn't come to you, it's just not coming to you. You can Google all you want, but sometimes it's too much of a niche thing, then you can't, you have to just sometimes take some losses there. But that actually goes into what we were wanting to discuss today a little bit, the human experience, and how mankind has kind of shifted from, the caveman days to we're living in a box.
So now we're in cubicles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're within four walls all the time. So I guess the transition point, so we started off being so connected, so grounded with nature, and we shifted over time.
We ran away from it.
We ran away from it a little bit.
Yeah, I actually saw a post the other day that's like, we went from like building houses to protect ourselves from, like nature's not always love and light. Like nature's dangerous too.
Yeah.
So like we went from building these houses to protect us from nature, and now like we're building parks and stuff to like protect ourselves from this like city that we've created.
That is so funny.
Like we just like switched. And like people just spend so much time inside, and we're not really meant to be in here. We're animals at the end of the day.
Right.
And I don't know who this is just me, but I don't know whose idea it was to like civilize us and stick us in these cubicles and stick us in these buildings and make us do all this like rigid structured work. Like, we're just animals. We're just supposed to frolic in the fields.
Don't think it was one person.
It wasn't one person. It was definitely a lot of people.
It was a lot.
I don't know. We just worked so hard to be civilized, and now civilization, I just feel like, is destroying us in a different way. Like,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it goes into capitalist society, so we shifted. Our values has shifted over time. We used to be, okay, we really need to get this next meal.
Right.
Now all these meals are just, they're provided to us.
You can just stick it in the microwave for 3 minutes, you know, and you're fed.
Yeah.
And like when we were living like that, and I mean, I've never lived like that, but once upon a time when people were living like meal to meal and stuff, and also like getting water and just like those basic necessities, like they have to live so much more slowly than we do. They have to take the time to really figure out like what they can eat, how they can make that a meal, and like just like live really intentionally. Like imagine how intentional you are with your food, back then when you like have to cultivate your whole meal. And now like we can just stick something in the microwave and like we have no words gone.
Connection to
no connection to the
to
food.
The food
Yeah.
we have.
Exactly.
I
Because
knew
it's all
exactly.
She knew. I knew you were gonna save me there. I was like, I don't know, but she knows.
Connection.
Literally, we have no connection to our food anymore because it's so instant and everywhere and easy.
Yeah. It's so shocking to me how, and this is probably where the veganism movement came in. It's you know, we see this, you know, piece of chicken or whatever it is, like meat of some kind, and
absolutely
it isn't, we don't connect that to, okay, that was a life, that was something that needed to perish for us
that
to
had
get
a
a
beating
meal.
heart, a mind, thoughts, feelings. Yeah. And I mean, neither of us eat meat, but I could even argue the same for plants. You know, plants are just as alive, and we are also mass producing plants in such a large scale that's unhealthy for the environment, but also just like sucking the nutrition out of plants as well. Like overly processed meat that we don't have a connection to, that's not gonna have that's gonna be stuffed with hormones and you know, just like processed whatever. Who even knows, you know? But we can argue the same for plants that are going to be covered in pesticides and that are just being mass produced and overly farmed. And really, I feel like the best way to approach that is to buy as local as you can.
Good idea.
Yeah, because if you're supporting local farmers, whether you eat meat or not, you know, if you're eating meat and you're buying local meat, like I have all the respect for you in the world. And I think we should also be buying our plants locally too, because that way we're not mass producing and
you're feeding the corporate cycle more than it is feeding the earth.
Right. And it's really hard. It's really hard
it's tricky to get it all right.
To get it all local.
I definitely don't eat all local foods.
I mean, I don't either. Like half my stuff in there is probably processed, you know? Like, who knows where my tofu came from or whatever. I didn't make my tofu that I'm eating. I don't have a connection to that. But we can try.
Yeah, I think it's about taking these micro steps, right? Like, I think perfectionism is not obtainable in this day and age. Unfortunately, we can certainly take ourselves off road and grow our own. I know the homestead movement is very big right now, and I applaud anyone who's a homestead person out there and goes and
my dream someday.
Yeah, definitely. And it is the dream because then you can eat that fresh food. And I do certainly have property. I could definitely start to do it. And
girl,
it's maybe
I would love to help you.
Oh, absolutely. We should
let's
definitely
make a garden, Megan.
I'll definitely make a garden. It's funny because I am very bad about sticking to things, but I feel like as an adult, I've realized it's not that I'm bad at sticking to things. It's that I need to want to have, there has to be a reason behind what I'm doing.
Absolutely. I think that's so important. Yeah. Especially for, like, the human experience in general. Like, to, like, have passion and desire behind what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, like, it's just mindless and meaningless. And
what's the point?
What's the point of being alive? Like, everything we do, we should be doing with, like, passion and love, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's your life. Like, you gotta do what you love.
Live it up.
Live it up.
You
know?
Yeah.
So me and Megan are starting a garden.
Yeah. Great. Wow. Okay.
Great, because
we start a lot of things.
I don't literally. I don't have space for a garden.
Wait. I'm like, I don't see any room, but you know,
I could do a roof garden maybe. Wait.
Is there a roof? Do you have steps to a roof?
I could get on my roof and make a roof garden.
That would
Me and Megan have big dreams coming. Me and Megan are gonna
do everything.
Just do everything. That's what we do.
I mean, we'll film each process,
It literally,
right? Like, we'll make it a thing, too.
I'm like, we're just so busy with what we're doing right now, though.
I know. As if
by
we had the time.
By the time we're ready to make a garden, it's going to be, like, halfway through a growing season.
It's funny, though, because I've thought about this. It's like, it comes at the right timing. To me, yes, it is a little bit behind, right? But who cares?
But
also,
we can just have a late harvest.
We can just have a late harvest. I have earth that
we're gonna get our hands dirty.
I mean, I definitely
it's
want
time.
a garden, and I want connection to my backyard, and I want connection to I want to be outside more, and honestly, it doesn't even take much time to film it. Like, I'm thinking to myself, I could probably film it on my iPhone, and it would be fine.
Yeah.
And I could do, like, even weekly updates on it growing and stuff, and
literally.
that would be, I don't know. So, and I think it would be valuable to people, because I think, even on social media, whenever I follow people who are earthing, or people who are going out into nature and being
You're
just
like, oh, I need to go outside too.
It's a good reminder.
It is.
To those people, like, oh yeah, I need to, like, get out from this couch and go out into the world.
Yeah, literally.
So, but I think too, it's not, social media, I don't think is the most evil thing ever. Like, of course, like, this is how we're doing our business, right? Like, it's providing an income. So it's going, well,
in theory.
I'm like, well, April 11th, sign up. But yeah, and then it will. The goal into this, to what we're doing and what we're us interacting, with social media. I think social media has been a way for us to connect to outside people who are doing similar things, and I certainly look on social media probably a little too much, but it's taught me a lot about even yoga, and I get onto these yoga accounts, right, and there's several of you, and I will one of these days name you off, and I'll be like, you're doing cool things, but I can't remember the names right now. But yeah, I'm following a couple of yogis out there, and they're just really nailing it, and they're teaching me things that are the most creative things about yoga, and that helps me with what we're doing here.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, a little bit of shout out there, I guess.
Yeah, I think, social media was really scary for me, because I was kind of, like, thinking about all, the negatives about social media, because there's a lot. Yeah. And, like, like, oh my gosh, there's so many people out there who's going to be judgmental and critical and hateful. But then there's always going to be that other side, the yin to the yang of how many beautiful people are out there on the internet. Just, like, doing and sharing what they love, and creating community because of it. And that's really healed my relationship with social media, I think. Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad that it's healing it. I know it's...
I was always so pessimistic about it.
Were you?
Yeah.
Wait.
I mean, social media is still hard for me to this day, but I was always so pessimistic about it.
I didn't think you were pessimistic, actually.
Oh, pessimistic is a word.
Wow.
Huh,
didn't realize it.
Yeah, that's so funny.
I just thought you were, a little bit scared to do this whole, like, record yourself thing. Yeah. I didn't realize it was...
Well, of course.
But, that's...
Absolutely,
that's a given. I just didn't realize you kind of had a little bit of an angst towards social media. Yeah. That's interesting.
But I'm working on it, and
it's a slow process too.
And, like, I still get people coming at me, 'cause I have, like, a public profile, right? Because I'm trying to, like, share my yoga and stuff, and I've had people come at me like, why do you have a public profile, just, like, coming at me with judgment like that. And
that's not nice.
And just like why are you trying to, like, do all this or whatever, I don't know, just, like, approaching me with judgment about my social media. And it's just so frustrating for me because it is so hard for me to have a public profile. It is so hard for me to make those posts. Like, it just takes everything inside of me, you know?
Aww.
So when people, like, come at me like that, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm working on it, you know?
Well, yeah. It's definitely not kind.
But,
And,
I mean, those people are out there, and they're gonna come at you, and they're gonna be judgmental, and there's people out there like that, and you kind of can't really waste your energy on that, because, like, I feel like their judgment on me is just, like, a projection of themselves. Yeah. Like, if they're coming at me, like, why are you, like, posting? Why do you, like, putting yourself out there? Like, why aren't you? You know? Like,
I don't see a problem with it myself, but maybe I'm just, what do I think?
Why are you, like, wasting your energy, like, judging me, when I'm trying to, like, do something I'm proud of and put something out there that I'm proud of?
Yeah.
So, yeah, those people are out there. They're gonna get you. They're gonna try and bite you, and they're gonna, you know, maybe knock you a step back, but whatever, fuck them. You know, like,
yeah, that's what
at the end of the day, just do you, and yeah,
it's not, it's not about I think it's not about what it used to be, how, oh, everybody is staring at me, oh, everybody's looking at me, but I think nowadays social media is such a big cluttered place, right? Like, there's a lot of people on social media.
It's very cluttered.
It's like, you know, you have to be the most.
There's a lot out there, like, so much,
and it's only ever growing. Like, we're only like this little tiny podcast in a big sea of, like,
millions of podcasts.
I know. I think about it.
We're just two girls.
We're just. Well, I think we're special in our own right, but I think it's we're just. It makes you feel a little bit like, oh, like, there is so much out there that you almost think to yourself, oh, like, is anyone even gonna care?
Yeah,
like, about
that's
us?
also how I feel. You know, like, oh, I'm just a girl. You know.
Yeah, there's a song about that in that way. But yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna let that go.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, yes, there's a lot of beauty in social media, and putting yourself out there is important, and it's scary, you know, to be vulnerable on social media. But I think, like, doing those scary things is really important for us, for our own growth.
Absolutely.
But I've also, like, there was also this other post that I saw that said, like, social media is no longer, like, this creative culture that we think. It's more like an attention culture that we've created. So people are just putting a lot of, like, content out there that they think will just get the most attention, you know? And that's why I really like what we're doing, because we're kind of just, like, making what we want and not really knowing what other people, like, are, like, want to see, you know? We're just like, this is, like, what we want to do, so we'll just, like, put this together and maybe put it out there and see who listens. And that's why we're in this kind of place of, like, oh, like, what if nobody cares, you know? Because we're not doing it to, like, get the most views or please the highest audience, you know? We're just trying to put out what we love to do.
Yeah. I think we started off with, you know, the business, and we started off with having this beautiful relationship, right? Like, we had friendship, and I think we knew we were so different that almost our differences would bounce off of one another, right? And so we thought to ourselves, like, okay, like, this is something. We could make something of this, and you mentioned the podcast to me, actually, first, and I never even considered us doing a podcast on top of the business, but it ended up being a really great idea, because I think we're not the best about like, posting yoga content, right? Like,
yeah.
we're not like the most yogi.
We haven't posted on Instagram in a minute, I feel like. I haven't. You have.
I
You've
did
been
one
good.
time.
You've been good. I haven't. Shit.
I mean, it's
But
just,
we're consistent with the podcast.
But the podcast is what's keeping us on the line while we're
exactly
while we're doing every other thing that
literally
behind the scenes. So, and that's important too. Like there's value in that, but also, it's kind of become a lot more than just a way to like keep us online, right? I think I've gained quite a bit from this, actually.
Absolutely.
It's almost like a therapy session for me.
You guys should have heard, like, the amount of, we had to cut out in the beginning of our podcasts. Yeah. And now me and Megan, like, we're good at talking.
We're getting,
we're getting, there's that, but we're getting good.
I think we're fluid.
Yeah.
We're more in tune
and
with
we're more telepathic.
That's true.
Very true. And, yeah, it's just, like, Lily and Megan time on the couch. It's lovely.
You're in our relationship now too. It's
literally.
It's what it is.
Exactly.
Our friendship is blooming to the world, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And I'll just say this too, like, just because we don't know who you are as a person, that doesn't mean that we don't care or we don't have a relationship with you online, internet people,
right?
Because we may not see your name, we may not know your face, but your energy is here in this room with us, and we feel it just as much as we feel the two of us here. Absolutely. We feel this other presence, which is everybody who's going to listen to this podcast in the future, and to us it means so much to us that anyone would want to join our friendship, I guess, and join into what is this beautiful podcast. And it is energy, in my opinion. I see it all as, like, if you clicked on this podcast and you are watching this now, you are energetically putting yourselves into this podcast. So I just want to say I'm grateful for every single one of you guys that are listening, and we're just two people on the couch, right, like holding tea. Literally. And we're having the best time, and we're glad that you're sticking around. So I don't know if that does that make sense.
Cheers to that.
Thank you.
That's a great place to end today.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks, Lily.
Yeah, thank you, Megan.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody else.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here.
See you next week.
See ya.
Mwah.
Bye.